Where do we stand in terms of the decoupling story and this battle, if you will, for leadership, whether it's in the military sphere, whether it's in the economic sphere, all these competing alliances and frameworks from RCEP to the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework? Who do you feel has got the upper hand, and how would you characterize the tension levels
when I
in
think
this
back to
region?
the word decoupling, sometimes it seems so loaded. I mean, the reality is the United States and Chinese economies are so intertwined.
Yes.
But there have indeed been steps, sometimes driven by China more than the U.S., to kind of separate and go their own ways. And we've seen what has happened actually with China's Xi Jinping's zero COVID policy that in a way has forced decoupling, because if your supply chain is being totally disrupted because, container terminals are blocked up, ships are not going in or out as quick as they used to be, it's disrupting your own world of delivering, valued products to consumers. So you have to decouple, but I'd like to think of it more as less about decoupling, but what every business person needs to do, diversification, that you just cannot have all of your supply chain dependent on China. I think that will continue even as we see the world open up, as China opens up a little bit. That will continue, because smart business recognizes that sadly this could happen again. That it seems to be, the possibility of a new pandemic every 2 or 3 months, something's coming out.
Exactly.
So people need to diversify. As to who has the upper hand, I really don't look at it like that. I look at it, what does China, what does U.S., what do the nations of Southeast Asia, what do they need to do to hopefully continue these relationships and move forward? And even despite differences, there indeed are some areas of cooperation. And I think that's to all sides' credit.
Curtis, Mandy has a question.
Yeah, sure. Hi there, Curtis. The Milken Summit isn't the only conference in town in Singapore at the moment. Every man and his dog is in Singapore, and it really cements Singapore's global financial hub standing. But then the question is, to what degree is that at Hong Kong's expense, and do you think that the tarnishing of Hong Kong's standing is permanent?
Well, first, to that last, it's not permanent. I mean, Hong Kong remains a great international city. Clearly, it's evolving. Some will say for good, some will say for bad, but clearly it's evolving. But certainly in the short term, Singapore has indeed come roaring back, and even like literally with the F1 now back in town. But Singapore has clearly moved ahead of Hong Kong in terms of a place for the world to convene. We see that at the Milken Institute. I think we have something like 12 or 1,300 people coming into this conference, really back to the size approximately of before the pandemic. So Singapore is indeed coming back, and actually Singapore doesn't even need to do anything to incentivize people to come in. There's a hunger for people to meet. And again, to Singapore's credit, they really have come roaring back both on the business side as well as the tourism side, with people flocking in for the F1 night race.